The play of Hamlet by William Shakespeare is a tale of revenge, grief, and mystery set in the kingdom of Denmark. It follows Prince Hamlet, a young man who is thrown into a world of tragedy after his father, King Hamlet, dies. The play explores heavy themes like death, betrayal, and madness, but it's also a gripping story about a son trying to make sense of his world after everything falls apart. In this summary, I'll retell the story in simple English, breaking it into paragraphs to make it clear and easy to follow, while keeping the essence of Shakespeare's masterpiece alive. The story begins in Denmark, where the royal castle of Elsinore is in a state of unease. King Hamlet, the ruler of Denmark, has recently died under mysterious circumstances. His death leaves the kingdom in mourning, and his wife, Queen Gertrude, quickly marries his brother, Claudius. This marriage shocks and angers Prince Hamlet, the late king's son, who feels his mother has betrayed his father's memory. Hamlet is already struggling with grief over his father's death, and the speed of Gertrude's remarriage makes him suspicious and bitter. He feels isolated, as if no one else understands the depth of his pain. The court seems to move on, but Hamlet cannot let go of his sorrow. One cold night, the guards at Elsinore Castle see something strange, a ghost that looks like the late King Hamlet. The ghost appears on the castle's battlements, silent and eerie, and the guards are terrified. They tell Horatio, Hamlet's close friend, who decides to see the ghost for himself. When Horatio witnesses the ghostly figure, he is convinced it's the spirit of the dead king. He believes the ghost might have something important to say, so he tells Hamlet about it. Hamlet, curious and desperate for answers about his father's death, decides to keep watch with the guards to meet the ghost himself. The appearance of the ghost sets the stage for the mystery that will unravel throughout the play. When Hamlet meets the ghost, it speaks to him, revealing a shocking truth. The ghost claims to be the spirit of King Hamlet, and tells his son that he was murdered. According to the ghost, Claudius, the new king, poisoned him while he slept in his garden. The ghost demands that Hamlet seek revenge by killing Claudius to punish him for this terrible crime. However, the ghost warns Hamlet not to harm his mother, Gertrude, leaving her fate to heaven. This revelation shakes Hamlet to his core. He is torn between his duty to his father and the overwhelming weight of what he's been asked to do. He vows to avenge his father's death but begins to question whether the ghost is truly his father's spirit or something more sinister, like a demon trying to trick him. Hamlet decides to act carefully. He doesn't want to kill Claudius without proof that the ghost's story is true. To avoid suspicion, he pretends to go mad, behaving strangely around the court. He speaks in riddles, acts erratic, and confuses everyone around him, including his mother and Claudius. His strange behavior worries his friends and family, but it's all part of his plan to observe Claudius and find evidence of his guilt. Meanwhile, Hamlet's madness creates tension with those closest to him, especially Ophelia, a young woman he loves. Ophelia's father, Polonius, a talkative and meddling advisor to Claudius, believes Hamlet's madness is caused by his love for Ophelia. Polonius decides to use Ophelia to figure out what's wrong with Hamlet, which complicates their relationship. Claudius and Gertrude, concerned about Hamlet's behavior, ask two of his old friends, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, to spy on him. They hope to find out what's causing his madness. Hamlet quickly realizes that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are not being honest with him and are working for Claudius. This betrayal deepens Hamlet's sense of isolation. He feels surrounded by people he cannot trust. At the same time, a group of traveling actors arrives at Elsinore, and Hamlet sees an opportunity. He comes up with a plan to stage a play that mimics the murder of his father, as described by the ghost. He hopes that if Claudius is guilty, watching the play will make him react in a way that reveals his crime. The play, which Hamlet calls The Mousetrap, is performed in front of the court. It shows a king being poisoned by his brother, mirroring the ghost's story. Hamlet watches Claudius closely during the performance. When the scene of the poisoning happens, Claudius becomes visibly upset and leaves the room abruptly. This reaction convinces Hamlet that the ghost was telling the truth. Claudius is guilty of murdering his father. Hamlet now feels certain that he must carry out his revenge. However, instead of acting immediately, he hesitates. He struggles with the moral weight of killing another person, even a murderer, and wonders about the consequences of his actions. After the play, Hamlet's behavior becomes even more erratic. He confronts his mother, Gertrude, in her private chamber, angry about her quick marriage to Claudius. During their heated argument, Hamlet hears someone behind a curtain and, thinking it's Claudius spying on them, stabs through the curtain. To his horror, he discovers he has killed Polonius, Ophelia's father, by mistake. This accidental killing sets off a chain of tragic events. Gertrude is shocked by Hamlet's actions, and Hamlet, realizing he's made a terrible mistake, feels the weight of his rash decision. He hides Polonius's body, which causes more confusion and fear in the court. Claudius, now aware that Hamlet is dangerous and possibly knows the truth about the murder, decides to send Hamlet away to England. He gives Rosencrantz and Guildenstern secret orders to ensure Hamlet is killed once he arrives. Meanwhile, Ophelia, devastated by her father's death and Hamlet's strange behavior, begins to lose her grip on reality. She becomes overwhelmed with grief and madness, wandering the castle and singing strange songs. Her decline is heartbreaking for those around her, especially her brother, Laertes, who returns to Denmark furious about his father's death and determined to seek revenge. While Hamlet is away, Ophelia's tragedy deepens. She drowns in a river, and it's unclear whether her death is an accident or suicide. The news of her death devastates Laertes and fuels his anger toward Hamlet. Claudius takes advantage of Laertes' grief and manipulates him into a plot to kill Hamlet. He suggests a fencing match between Hamlet and Laertes, but with a deadly twist. Laertes will use a poisoned sword, and Claudius will prepare a poisoned drink as a backup. The plan is to make Hamlet's death look like an accident during the match. Claudius's scheming shows how far he's willing to go to protect his throne and cover up his crime. Hamlet, unaware of Claudius's plot, returns to Denmark after a series of dramatic events. On his way to England, his ship is attacked by pirates, and he manages to escape and return home. During his journey, he discovers Claudius's orders to have him killed, which strengthens his resolve to confront the king. When he arrives back in Elsinore, he learns about Ophelia's death, which fills him with grief and guilt. He realizes how much he loved her and how his actions, even if unintentional, contributed to her tragic end. At her funeral, Hamlet and Laertes clash emotionally, each mourning her loss and blaming the other for the tragedy. The final act of the play builds toward a dramatic showdown. Hamlet agrees to the fencing match with Laertes, not knowing it's a trap. Before the match, he speaks with Horatio, reflecting on life, death, and fate. He seems to accept that whatever happens is part of a larger plan, showing a shift in his mindset. During the match, the court gathers to watch, and Claudius puts his plan into motion. Laertes wounds Hamlet with the poisoned sword, but in the chaos, their swords are switched, and Hamlet wounds Laertes in return. Meanwhile, Gertrude drinks from the poisoned cup meant for Hamlet, not knowing it's deadly. As she collapses, the truth begins to unravel. Laertes, realizing he's been poisoned by his own sword, confesses the plot to Hamlet before dying. He reveals that Claudius is behind everything, including the poisoned sword and drink. Enraged and knowing he's also dying from the poison, Hamlet finally takes action. He stabs Claudius with the poisoned sword and forces him to drink the remaining poison, ensuring his death. As Hamlet's life slips away, he asks Horatio to tell his story so the world will know the truth. With his final breath, he names Fortinbras, a prince from Norway, as the next ruler of Denmark. The play ends with nearly all the main characters dead, leaving a somber scene of loss and destruction. The aftermath of the tragedy is marked by the arrival of Fortinbras, who takes control of Denmark. He orders a proper burial for Hamlet, honoring him as a noble prince. The story of Hamlet is a powerful exploration of human emotions, grief, anger, love, and doubt. Hamlet's journey is not just about revenge but about grappling with big questions. What does it mean to do the right thing? How do we face death? Can we ever truly know what's real or who to trust? Shakespeare weaves these questions into a story that feels both personal and universal, making Hamlet a timeless tale. The characters in Hamlet are complex and deeply human. Hamlet himself is a thinker, always questioning his actions and their consequences. His hesitation to kill Claudius isn't just cowardice, it's a reflection of his fear of becoming like the murderer he despises. Gertrude, caught between her loyalty to her son and her new husband, is a figure of ambiguity. We never fully know her motivations. Claudius is a cunning villain, but he's not without guilt, as we see when he tries to pray for forgiveness. Ophelia's descent into madness is one of the play's most heartbreaking moments, showing how innocent people can be crushed by the schemes of others. Laertes, driven by rage, contrasts with Hamlet's indecision, yet both are united by their desire for justice. The setting of Elsinore Castle adds to the story's mood. It's a place of secrets, where ghosts walk at night, and no one is quite what they seem. The castle feels like a prison for Hamlet, trapping him in his grief and his duty. Shakespeare uses this setting to create a sense of claustrophobia, as if the characters are all caught in a web they can't escape. The imagery of decay and corruption, rottenness in Denmark, poisoned swords, and dead bodies, runs through the play, reminding us that actions have consequences that ripple outward. One of the play's strengths is how it balances action with reflection. While there are sword fights, murders, and betrayals, much of the drama comes from Hamlet's inner thoughts. His famous soliloquies, like, "To be or not to be," reveal a young man wrestling with life's biggest questions. Should he act or wait? Is life worth living when it's full of pain? These moments make Hamlet relatable, even today. We all face moments of doubt and fear, and Hamlet's struggle to find his path resonates across time. The play also explores the idea of performance. Hamlet pretends to be mad, but we're left wondering how much of it is an act and how much is real. The play within a play is a clever device, showing how art can reveal truth. Even Claudius performs, hiding his guilt behind a mask of kindness. This theme of pretense makes the characters' actions feel layered. No one is entirely honest, not even with themselves. It's a reminder that people often hide their true feelings, whether out of fear, shame, or ambition. At its core, Hamlet is a story about loss. Hamlet loses his father, his mother's loyalty, his love for Ophelia, and ultimately his life. Ophelia loses her father and her sanity. Laertes loses his family. Even Claudius, who seems to gain power, loses everything in the end. The play doesn't shy away from the pain of these losses, but it also shows moments of beauty. Hamlet's love for Ophelia, his friendship with Horatio, and his courage in facing his fate. These glimpses of hope make the tragedy even more poignant. Shakespeare's language, even in this simplified summary, carries a weight that makes Hamlet unforgettable. The story's themes, revenge, morality, and the search for truth, are as relevant now as they were when the play was written. Whether it's a son mourning his father, a lover caught in a web of lies, or a king hiding his sins, Hamlet captures the messiness of human life. It's a story that asks us to think about who we are and what we're willing to do when everything we love is taken away. In the end, Hamlet leaves us with more questions than answers. Was Hamlet right to seek revenge? Could he have avoided the tragedy? What does it mean to be a good person in a world full of betrayal? These questions linger, just as the image of Hamlet, dying in Horatio's arms, stays with us. The play is a mirror, reflecting our own struggles with loss, choice, and meaning. Through Hamlet's story, Shakespeare reminds us that life is fragile, and the choices we make can change everything. Please like and share the video. Subscribe the channel.